It's like an attack. It's like you're constantly under attack. The only human contact that you have is with the correction officer who gives you food, who won't even say hi to you, who won't even look in your eye and validate the fact that you're alive. You know, that really does something to you.
These are the stories of solitary confinement at Rikers Island, a form of punishment former inmates say has bruised them forever.
It's so loud. It's about 200-300 people on every floor. You have security lock boxes inside there. You can never open your window, so if it's 100 degrees, you'll just bake in there. I'm actually one of the only people who is legally declared mentally disabled because of solitary. And I live with a disability now, and that was a court decision based off of my time. That helped open the door to understand that we're creating disabilities.
Perhaps the most notable story is of Khalif Browder, a Bronx teen who spent 2 of his 3 years inside Rikers in solitary confinement, locked up 23 hours a day. Upon his release, he committed suicide, and now about a year later, his brother Akeem is still blaming Rikers for his death.
Khalif would come home and exhibit the same behaviors that he did when he was on Rikers, which is he would set up the bottles of like shampoo, the soap box on his windowsill in the house and talk to it. I'd say 100% of his suicide was due to the tortures that happened on Rikers.
Khalif's story is what led the de Blasio administration to put forth a series of reforms to improve Rikers Island. Specifically, he promised to end solitary confinement for those 21 and under. That was in January 2015, and to this day, that promise has yet to fully come to light. Now, the Department of Corrections says it actually has taken action, already ending solitary for those 16, 17, and 18 years old. In a statement, DOC says it's fully committed to ending solitary for those 21 and under, and the delay is largely due to the construction of its secure units, which is an age-appropriate alternative to solitary confinement. They gave themselves a new deadline of October to get it all together. But activists say extending the deadline is not the answer, and they also tell me they don't believe solitary is ever going to end.
Justice for Khalif! Justice for Khalif!
We have concerns about the way it's been set up physically, that it's basically a cage with plexiglass and wire mesh around it, and it will accommodate about 8 people, but it's a very small space. And we're concerned that they'll instead wind up staying in their cell all day, and then it won't be any different from solitary.
Oftentimes when someone is put in solitary confinement, especially when they're young, it's for their own protection, because they're separated from the general population, because prisons can be very, very violent places.
If you're trying to protect someone, then you should be putting them in an environment where they're safe, but also
for 24 hours.
But safe, but not confined with small space and not a different punishment in itself.
It's actually a well-documented case. I believe he's the one that was arrested for stealing, I believe, a backpack. The bail was $3,500. The family couldn't make it. 3 years later, he still hadn't been tried yet. Where's the due process?
Part of me says, stop committing crimes. A separate issue of speedy trial. Stop committing crimes. I mean, if that's a punishment that keeps them separate, I have no issue with that.